Love+Dog Food+Rebirth+School Flower+Fun+Single female Lead+Pure content. Zhao Zhijun, who was almost 30 years old and had nothing to do, was late for a high school reunion. However, due to luck and misfortune, he ran into the national goddess Luo Zhijie, who was also late. Zhao Zhijun casually invited the national goddess to have dinner with him at the dining table. Luo Zhijie remained silent and was enveloped in an eerie atmosphere as she could only hear the two of them chewing. Finally, after finishing her meal, Luo Zhijie spoke up, but this opening brought a thunderous news to Zhao Zhijun. Can you help settle the account? Chapter 1. Love. Love you, mmmp. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Begging for bookshelf updates. Nearly 100,000 words recommended. I really don't want to give up the book. Please keep up with updates every day. The author who gave up the book is 10 centimeters short. For the happiness of the dog author, please ask all Yenzui Fei to support QWQ. Luoji picking figure. Xia Mushi's character design diagram. What is a wooden door? A wooden door. What is an iron door? Iron gate. Do you know what the door to happiness is? It's us. Grinning foolishly, go away. Do you want to eat yubing, deep fried round and flat dough cake? I think you look like a steel door. In the afternoon, in the toilet on the 3rd floor of Binhai No. 1 High School. Pop. Zhao Zhijun slapped himself hard and then mocked himself. Damn it, what happened in my past life is like a dog skin ointment, I can't forget it even after being reborn. Wow. He washed his face and then looked at the mirror in front of him with a slightly tired gaze. The boy in the mirror is dressed in school uniform, with delicate features and cold white skin paired with a thick mushroom head, appearing gloomy and lifeless. It is precisely his youthful attire that evokes countless bitter memories of Zhao Zhijun's youth. We'll always be together, okay? A light promise made by Xia Mushi when he was young became a heavy shackle for Zhao Zhijun, burying his 15 years of youth. From being a childhood sweetheart playing hand in hand and pretending to be a family in elementary school, to the beginning of love and mutual affection in middle school. Everyone sees the relationship between the two, and even those around them, including Zhao's parents, believe that their relationship will eventually turn into a positive outcome. However, when the two entered high school, Xia Mushi's attitude towards Zhao Zhijun underwent a 180-degree transformation. She didn't reply to his messages for several hours, and the part of saying good night to each other gradually became a game for Zhao Zhijun alone. She gradually became more demanding of Zhao Zhijun, and even though she had exchanged a few months of instant noodles for a birthday gift, she still couldn't get her smiling face. On the contrary, she has never given herself a birthday gift once. I still remember confessing to her countless times, but her response was always ambiguous. I don't want to date for the time being. You are excellent, but your love cannot give me any sense of security. The whole class is watching, if you don't want face, I want face. The young man made countless sincere confessions, but never returned a formal reply from the other party. However, at that time he didn't understand. The other party didn't like him at all, they just felt it was a pity to lose you, so they trapped you with an ambiguous attitude. But he thought it was the other person's slow heat. However, on a sunny afternoon, she held on to a wealthy second generation whom she had just known for 3 days and said to herself, if you really like me, you should bless me in him. Zhao Zhijun only felt that at the moment he heard this sentence, why did his nose suddenly turn red? Look, that person looks like a clown. When he suddenly woke up, he realized that he was no longer young. Instead, his once vibrant youth turned into a grand circus performance. I won't sleep this afternoon playing werewolf. I'll sleep in the Chinese language class again in the afternoon. Hurry up and take the ball to occupy the field. Let's go, the snack bar. I've spent all my pocket money this week. My treat. My adoptive father. The noise outside the restroom interrupted Zhao Zhijun's memories. Harmful, I have already been reborn, why are I still so conflicted about the past? Zhao Zhijun looked at himself in the mirror again. This time, his gaze was clear and there was no more confusion. The quatrain of life is autumn, not the banquet of spring, not waiting for the green mountains, I am green myself. Love, I love you, cherish your life, and only by looking at her again do I realize that she is no different from others. In this life, I have sealed my heart with cement. Zhao Zhijun muttered to himself, then took out a pair of scissors from his pocket and without any hesitation, cut them all at the bangs, revealing his originally sunny and delicate face. In the classroom of Class 8, Grade 3. On the far left side by the window, a beautiful girl with a frosty face sat there. The bright sunshine at noon hit her body, making her originally delicate features and proud body curves seem to be coated with a layer of gold, making her originally cool temperament even more sacred. This iceberg beauty is the nominal school flower of No. 1 middle school, and also the green plum of Zhao Zhijun. Xia Mushi. At this moment, she was surrounded by many classmates, all pointing and mocking at a love letter in her hand. Xia Mushi's desk mate and best friend Ma Yuanyuan publicly mocked, there are only a few dozen days left before the college entrance examination. This guy doesn't mind studying, and he's still playing tricks like love letters. Is he immature? Although Xia Mushi did not respond, her fair and cold face now had a slight hint of anger on it, as if she also looked down upon his behavior. At this moment, someone in the crowd who didn't know which good thing was happening shouted, Zhao Zhijun is back. Following the man's voice, everyone turned their heads and their eyes fell on Zhao Zhijun, who had just returned from the toilet. There's a good show to watch, hee. The onlookers turned their heads with a joyful attitude, but when they saw Zhao Zhijun's change at the moment, they were instantly shocked and their chin dropped. I tested, who said Zhao Zhijun has returned. This handsome sunny guy has a trade relationship with him. Wait a minute, upon closer inspection, it seems like Zhao Zhijun, but just changed his hairstyle. This is not a change in hairstyle. It's obvious that I went to Bangzi country. Everyone was discussing Zhao Zhijun's changes, and Xia Mushi, who was in the center of the crowd, frowned slightly. She thought to herself that Zhao Zhijun could have something to discuss, so she followed her curiosity and looked towards the door. But when her gaze fell on Zhao Zhijun, even her extremely proud heart flashed with a hint of surprise in her eyes. At this moment, the young man stands at the door of the classroom, his delicate features hidden under the bangs welcoming a delicate ray of morning sunshine, instantly becoming as refreshing as Monet's impression painting. What's even more unbelievable is the mature temperament that he exudes all the time, combined with the melancholy revealed by those timeless eyes. With just one glance, this group of inexperienced students were mesmerized. As Zhao Zhijun, who had undergone such great changes, slowly walked towards them, Ma Yuanyuan's saliva flowed uncontrollably from the corner of her mouth. Zhao Zhijun turned out to be so handsome, with his appearance sealed by bangs. Yuanyuan, what are you talking about? Xia Mushi glanced at Ma Yuanyuan, who was drooling beside her, and her inner pride quietly emerged. If a boy who likes him is recognized by everyone, of course she will be proud. However, Xia Mushi's inner pride quickly turned into arrogance. I just changed my hairstyle and it's cleaner. Don't be so exaggerated, okay? Besides, if I change my style, I'll agree to his confession, and others might think I'm so casual. As she spoke, Xia Mushi's chin lifted again. Zhao Zhijun just changed his hairstyle. What's so unusual about it? Besides, there are many handsome guys who confess themselves, and he doesn't lack this one, maybe he doesn't really have this one. Just as she was thinking this, Ma Yuanyuan couldn't wait to pull her towards Zhao Zhijun. Zhao Zhijun. You're disturbing our Xiaoxi's studies again. As Zhao Zhijun looked at the two of them in a fierce manner, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, revealing an incredibly confident smile to everyone. Chapter 2. Learning from Shuangwen male lead and striving to be a Sigma man. You are listening at novel full.audio. To be honest, when Zhao Zhijun saw Xiaomushi again, his heart couldn't help but tighten. This white moonlight, carrying his youth for over a decade, is now standing in front of him again. Her large jewel-like eyes, which stared straight at her, were filled with a hint of tears, like a pool of small springs that were likable. A cherry mouth, contrasted with her fair skin tone, appears even more watery and adorable. Her beautiful appearance, coupled with the high ponytail shape that most boys dream of with a white moonlight, brought Zhao Zhijun's nostalgia to its peak with just one glance. Especially when he saw her fair wrist again still wearing the bracelet he had given a few years ago, it almost made him believe in love again. A few years ago, she's still carrying this bracelet however, in the next moment, Xiaomushi's cold and proud voice came, shattering his illusions at this moment. Zhao Zhijun, don't you think playing these tricks is childish? As she spoke, she swayed the thin love letter that conveyed 10 years of youthful emotions in front of everyone. Such actions are undoubtedly a public punishment for Zhao Zhijun. However, Xiaomushi never considered these things. She would only put on an adult demeanor and say to him earnestly. Also, the college entrance examination will be held in less than 100 days. If you don't consider your future, I will have to consider. Stop, stop. Zhao Zhijun frowned and interrupted her, as if she had grown tired of this kind of rhetoric. After all, even if you refuse, you still have to pretend to teach me a lesson. Who really has the patience to listen? Zhao Zhijun's gaze fell on the love letter in her hand and he said, anyway, they all rejected me. So that means you're useless with this love letter, right? Can you give it back to me? Give it back to you. Before Xiaomushi could react, Zhao Zhijun snatched the love letter without waiting for her consent. Then, in front of everyone, he made a shocking move that shocked everyone's jaws. He tore the love letter to pieces. For no other reason, the main thing is that he felt numb after reading his previous love letters, so he simply tore them apart without seeing or feeling annoyed. Now that the love letter has been torn apart, Zhao Zhijun's mood has really improved a lot. However, Xiaomushi, who witnessed this scene with her own eyes, was not calm anymore. She thought to herself that she refused his confession. As for why did he make such an outrageous move? He wasn't like this when he refused his confession before. However, she quickly came up with a reasonable explanation. Zhao Zhijun felt embarrassed to be rejected in front of the whole class, which was why he tore up the love letter and pretended to be strong. Yes. It must be like this, after all, men are inherently strong creatures. So Xiaomushi quickly changed her words and said, Zhijun, it's not that I want to reject you, but the college entrance examination is coming soon. I'm afraid that love will affect your studies. Fear's shadow noise you learn the words that care about you are accompanied by a soft and aggrieved voice in the girl's heart. If you come to an honest person who is not deep in the city, you may still have to leave tears of gratitude to praise the girl's understanding, and then continue to lick until the end of time. Unfortunately, Zhao Zhijun is now extremely clear-headed, constantly playing the famous line of Master Tong Jincheng in his mind. In the adult world, without clear acceptance, it is rejection. Sister, your level of tea skills is more than enough to deal with naive high school students, but if you were to match me, who is a real middle-aged man, it would be like a small horse pulling a big cart. Zhao Zhijun raised his head and looked at Xiaomushi again, his gaze becoming firm as if he wanted to join the Communist Party in place. He spoke calmly and said, well, so you just rejected me, right? Facing Zhao Zhijun's calm attitude now, Xiaomushi first felt strange, but didn't think too much and casually said. I'm not rejecting your feelings, I dare not. I just want you to be with me all the time. Hiss. Master, when there's no one left, I should really give you one. Without your teachings, my Tao heart would be in chaos here. After all, with just this purity, even the world's top tea connoisseur would have to praise good tea. Zhao Zhijun sighed and said helplessly, forget it. If I want to accompany you to find the cowherd, I won't be the scapegoat anymore. The onlookers present slowly began to draw a question mark in their hearts. They had imagined countless actions that Zhao Zhijun would take after being rejected, but one sentence that was counterintuitive surprised everyone. Especially Xia Mushi, as the female protagonist of the incident, she was the most affected. Ha! Is she sure she heard it right? When did Zhao Zhijun dare to speak to her so forcefully? Just for a moment, Xia Mushi's micro-expressions kept changing, and she directly performed a wonderful Sichuan opera face-changing scene on sight. Xia Mushi's mouth twitched slightly, and the anger in her chest couldn't be contained. Are you sure you're so heartless? It is obvious that Xia Mushi's patience with Zhao Zhijun is about to run out, and the meaning of this sentence is to tell him. I'll give you one last step down. If you're really heartless, then I won't give you face. Desperate. Zhao Zhijun didn't take her threat seriously. What is desperation? Years of delivering breakfast to someone without a single thank you is considered desperation. Is it heartless to see delicate birthday gifts that cannot be exchanged for one's own birthday wishes? Or is it considered despicable to have a patient with a high fever brave the rain to bring an umbrella for themselves? Zhao Zhijun spoke a long paragraph in one breath, leaving those around him confused. But on second thought, this is just talking about himself. After all, Zhao Zhijun has been treating Xia Mushi well for several years, but he has never seen Xia Mushi show any affection towards him. In just one sentence, Zhao Zhijun shifted everyone's discussion from himself to Xia Mushi. Xia Mushi, who is currently in the center of public opinion, also has a pale face and a cold spine. Did he figure it out? I don't like him, and the reason why I can't refuse him with all my heart is just to enjoy his unconditional kindness to me. After all, she never lacks suitors, but when Zhao Zhijun marries herself and finds herself pregnant with someone else's seed, she can't help but exclaim, buy one get one free. However, there is none of them. No, it's impossible. Xia Mushi stared blankly at Zhao Zhijun and said in a harsh tone, I don't know what you're talking about. At this moment, Ma Yuanyuan, who was beside her, also protected her behind her and stood up high against Zhao Zhijun's chest. Her angry eyes widened and she said, Zhao Zhijun, our family Xiaoxi didn't refuse you in public with good intentions. It was because of your mentality. Don't take too much advantage of it. Oh, Zhao Zhijun casually said. This casual sentence made Ma Yuanyuan feel powerless as she punched cotton, and she was so angry that she broke through the defense on the spot. This also caused the chest, which was originally flat, to fluctuate violently in an on-the-spot lifting performance. Zhao Zhijun paid no attention to the clown like Ma Yuanyuan on his side, and his attention was once again drawn to the bracelet on Xia Mushi's wrist. Looking at this bracelet that the other person had been wearing seriously for 3 years, a faint sadness rose in his heart. But at least they are also people who have experienced more than a decade of social whipping, and this small emotion can still be controlled. Besides, after reading so many rebirth articles, Fang Zhou and Zhang Fan, how can I lose face with so many examples of cement-sealed rebirths ahead? So the next second, Zhao Zhijun made up his mind and stared straight at Xia Mushi. Xia, it's pointless to maintain the relationship between two people alone, isn't it? As you said, if we prioritize our studies, then I don't want to waste time on someone who doesn't love me anymore. Chapter 3. What can I say to a man, Zhijun, get out. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Let's always be together in the future, okay? Okay. Then I will always be good to you in the future. For no reason, Xia Mushi suddenly remembered a conversation she had with Zhijun when they were children. Ironically, the boy who once said he would always be good to himself can now tell himself with an unchanged face that dating her is just a waste of time. She couldn't even believe that the boy in front of her who ended their friendship for over a decade with just a few words was really the Zhao Zhijun who obeyed her words. Is he really planning to leave himself? Is he really willing? In an instant, Xia Mushi felt a chill emanating from her body, and now she could no longer pretend to be calm. If you think spending time with me is a waste of time, okay. Xiaomushi's mouth twitched, her beautiful eyes fixed on the other person, trying to find any flaw on Zhao Zhijun's face. However, Xiaomushi, who had originally held a hint of luck, lost all her confidence in the moment when her gaze intertwined with the other party. Because she couldn't believe that the big boy who had known her for 10 years and always looked at her with sincerity in his eyes would now have such a cold and indifferent expression. It was as if standing in front of him was not the green plum that he had once regarded as a treasure, but someone among the masses. Xiaomushi took a deep breath and her pink fist unconsciously tightened a bit. If someone were to beg for reconciliation, then that person would really be cheap enough. Such explicit words revealed Xiaomushi's originally proud personality, which made Zhao Zhijun feel extremely familiar. Is this the true face of Xiaomushi? If this were in the previous life, I would definitely not be able to hold back and start apologizing in a low voice. Unfortunately, as a reborn individual, after experiencing the baptism of licking dog culture for several years, I have become a clown again. I can go to your place, right? So, what can I say? Zhijun out. Zhao Zhijun put on a smiley expression and slowly spoke, whatever you think. However, my mother has always been worried about my failure in the college entrance examination. I have to use my last time to study hard and make her worry less about herself. After speaking, he walked towards his seat without looking back, lazily stretching along the way. The feeling of rejecting PUA is really satisfying. Xiaomushi, who had been maintaining a calm and aloof demeanor behind her, became a bit impatient and frustrated. She only heard her voice increase and say, "Don't feel so wronged. If you really care about me, why did you disappear when I needed you the most? Your current behavior will only make me dislike you more and more." She thought speaking more seriously would make Zhao Zhijun turn around, but the reality is that Zhao Zhijun's footsteps are actually much lighter. That's right, after all, the players have already left. Who cares about pondering a remaining game of chess outside of the mortal world? The lunch self-study time originally used for students' lunch break, except for Zhao Zhijun, all students in the classroom are not well behaved. After all, who can bear not to participate in the gossip of the people around them when witnessing the top two characters in the class, the academic achiever and the class monitor, in a dog-blood small theater? I have never seen Zhao Zhijun's attitude towards Xiaomushi before. Is this a licking dog counterattack, and the surf turning over and singing? Please, a counterattack at least requires a strong foundation. Don't you see how handsome they are after getting their hair cut? But who would have thought that beneath the bangs lies a face that is shocking and shocking to the world? Treasure boy. If I had paid more attention to him at that time, it would have been great. After a noon, the discussion on this matter still continued in the class. I believe that in this campus with limited online information, this kind of explosive gossip will occupy the top position on the campus hot search list for a long time. Of course, it's uncertain whether something more explosive will happen next. Horizontal groove. As a student sitting at the door pointed to the door and let out a loud exclamation of high grass content, it immediately caught the attention of the rest of the class. Following the direction pointed by the person, a young girl appeared at the door at an unknown time. After everyone saw clearly who was coming, the once restless classroom suddenly became as quiet as a morgue. The girl outside the door didn't rush in, but stared blankly at Ban Pai, showing a slightly unfamiliar expression. The girl's eyelashes trembled slightly, her face was not painted with powder, but it was fresh and charming. Her two eyes flickered slightly, but they bloomed with a shock like stars in the sky. Her cheeks were frozen with fresh lychee, her nose was greasy with goose fat, and she looked forward to shining, which was tantalizing to her heart. Her slender and delicate body was as if Shilio had been defeated by the merciless autumn wind, causing the broad school uniform to ripple on her body, like a spring outing slowly unfolding on her, stunning everyone. With every breath and every movement, she exudes an elegant and extraordinary demeanor. The young girl's temperament is like a newly bloomed blue wisp, carefully touching the sunlight, all of which are pitiable. At this moment, not to mention the classmates in the classroom, even time seemed to generously pause because of her appearance. Everyone is trapped in the gentleness brought by the appearance of a young girl and unable to extricate themselves. However, among the stunned crowd, one person is an exception. Luo Zhijie. Zhao Zhijun was particularly shocked by the appearance of the young girl, and even instinctively stood up, which made him stand out among the group of classmates sitting in their seats. With the appearance of this peerless beautiful girl, a memory deep in Zhao Zhijun's mind was awakened. After graduating from university in his previous life, he worked hard in society and worked at the bottom level, such as a delivery man and a milk tea shop employee. Later on, I tried to write online articles, but the data remained lukewarm because the content was criticized by readers for being too plain. Letting someone who has experienced a lonely youth write about passionate emotions is like letting Kuan play basketball. A strong person, oh no, a strong chicken is difficult. Later, Zhao Zhijun's days continued to be chaotic until he was 30 years old. Until one day, he was invited to attend a long-lost high school reunion. But when he finished his work on the same day, he rushed to the scene and found that the private room was already empty, and the table was cluttered with cups and plates. In this situation, Zhao Zhijun smiled helplessly, pitifully missing even an opportunity to peek at his youth from other people. MD, God is so selfish. He cursed at the empty table and was about to leave when he found a strange woman standing at the door at some point. The woman dressed strangely, with a thick pair of sunglasses covering half of her face, followed by a huge duckbill cap and thick scarf covering the remaining part of her face. Although these factors make it difficult to see her face clearly, her tall and perfect figure and elegant temperament make Zhao Zhijun feel that this person is not simple. And also, while he was feeling a bit lost, the woman took the initiative to step forward and whispered, "Are you Zhao Zhijun?" I am. Now Zhao Zhijun is even more confused about the situation. Fortunately, the woman took the initiative to take off her facial disguise at this moment, revealing her stunning face. It was Luo Zhijie. 10 years later, Luo Zhijie has become a popular national goddess and a mythological creator who can sell over 100 million copies of any album. And it is this most dazzling celebrity in the entertainment industry who appears in front of Zhao Zhijun at this moment, which can be imagined how shocked he is. So just as he was stunned, Luo Zhijie's soft and gentle voice came again. I am your fan of books. Chapter 4. Brother Yang Wei, Brother Yang Wei. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ha! How could a novel written by a street-fighting author be favored by a goddess? After repeated confirmations afterwards, Zhao Zhijun finally fully accepted this reality. National-level goddesses really like to read their street-fighting essays. It can only be said that the preferences of public figures are indeed somewhat elusive. Well, I see you haven't eaten either, why don't we have a meal together? That night, I didn't know where Zhao Zhijun had the courage. Taking advantage of the goddess's interest in him, I took the initiative to invite him to dinner. What surprised him even more was that Luo Zhijie agreed. After 10 years of poverty, I attended a gathering with classmates and found out that the national goddess was a high school classmate. Is there any expansion of online literature? Next time, let's write the novel like this. But reality has really poured a bucket of cold water on Zhao Zhijun. The two of them at the dining table, whether recalling their youth, getting to know each other, or delving deeper into the novel, have nothing. Some only have dry rice. Dry rice. Still a special way of cooking. There is a saying that the roasted chicken and sweet potato skin in that store are indeed authentic. The silence between the two continued until the end of dinner, when after a few drinks, Luo Zhijie's face was slightly tipsy and her pink lips moved slightly. We are probably the most unfortunate people in this world. Her voice was delicate, and each sentence contained a myriad of sorrows like stray geese. However, Zhao Zhijun was busy cooking and just replied casually. How could that be? You're a big singer, and the stars are all over you. This is the first and last conversation between the two at the dining table. The conversation ended, and the two waved goodbye at the entrance of the restaurant, then went home separately. Originally, Zhao Zhijun felt dejected that there would be no intersection between the two after this, but he didn't expect the popular star Luo Zhijie was exposed for being violated in high school. Once this explosive news was exposed, it swept across the country like a raging beast, becoming a well-known scandal at the time. And also on the day he saw this news, Zhao Zhijun received a handwritten letter from Luo Zhijie, which read as follows. When you see this letter, I should have already died. I entered the entertainment industry from a young age, seemingly glamorous, but in reality, I am just a pitiful person who has never had a friend or lover. The reason I'm telling you this is because I think you can understand me. I enjoy reading your novels because I can always read my own shadow from them. Same loneliness and gloom. I think you will understand me. Understand me. These 30 years have been a solitary journey, and if you understand me, you may not even know how to love someone. So, please bless me with a simple friendship, a passionate love, and experience the passionate emotions that ordinary people possess in the next life. Zhao Zhijun couldn't forget that as he watched the wisp of green smoke rising from the chimney of the crematorium gradually dissipate, he took away the last trace of proof of Luo Zhijie's existence. At that time, perhaps he was the only person she could rely on, but he put on an indifferent attitude thinking of this. Zhao Zhijun couldn't help but shed tears of self-blame. Fortunately, it's not too late yet. Zhao Zhijun, who had come to his senses from his memories, took a long breath and looked at the direction of Luo Zhijie, picking for a long time, unable to let go. Luo Zhijie, like a shooting star, paused for a moment in his life, but it became an incredibly profound regret in his heart. And now, this regret has not yet befallen you and me. I said, Tai Shang Lao Jun, are you reciting a mantra? What have you been muttering about there all this time? A familiar rough voice interrupted Zhao Zhijun's current sadness. Zhao Zhijun calmed down and saw the speaker's appearance clearly. He is around 175 years tall, with wheat-colored skin and a slightly raised belly, exuding a middle-aged greasy temperament. This is Yang Wei, who grew up wearing shorts with Zhao Zhijun. Yang Wei. Zhao Zhijun's face was full of surprise. Are you still alive? Shu. After hearing those two words that could cause misunderstandings, Yang Wei immediately covered Zhao Zhijun's mouth and blushed, saying, Go, don't curse your father. At this moment, Zhao Zhijun also regained his senses and touched the back of his head foolishly, saying, harmful harm. Look at my brain sutra, isn't it happy to see you? Immediately after, Zhao Zhijun's eyes turned and he said, Hey, did you bring any fire? Fire. Yang Wei looked at him suspiciously. I brought it. Why? Just bring it with you. Zhao Zhijun put one hand on his broad shoulder. Accompany me to the restroom. In the dimly lit men's restroom at the end of the third floor, there were only two figures, Zhao Zhijun and Yang Wei, one tall and one short. As soon as he entered the toilet, Yang Wei cautiously confirmed whether there were people in each pit on one side. After confirming that there was no one around, he conveniently took out a pack of cigarettes from his pocket, but he hadn't smoked yet. Unexpectedly, Zhao Zhijun intercepted him halfway and snatched a whole pack. Are you still smoking your black lungs? Don't smoke so hard that you don't even know how to die. Then Zhao Zhijun naturally took out a lighter from the pocket of Yang Wei's jacket, glanced at the cigarette box, and joked. Oh, King Ferong, my brother is of the same style as me, it's exquisite. After speaking, he skillfully placed it on his lips and took a shallow sip. I haven't smoked in my life yet. The first sip was just enough to catch my lungs, and the second one was a harsh one. Yang Wei, who had his cigarette snatched from the side, was not in a hurry. Instead, his face was full of curiosity and he said, Hey old gentleman, when will you smoke? Forget smoking, the first time you smoke, you have to be proficient with an experienced smoker with 10 years of smoking experience. Is this still the well-behaved man Zhao Zhijun that he is familiar with? However, Zhao Zhijun slowly exhaled dust and smoke, and his entire body became somewhat light and ethereal. Just consider it a celebration of being reborn, but Zhao Zhijun replied, just smoke this once. From now on, you and I will quit smoking together. Quit smoking. Who would shout to quit smoking right after the first sip? Although Zhao Zhijun's behavior is really strange now, Yang Wei is quite neurotic and doesn't pay much attention to these details. By the way, he suddenly remembered something very important and approached Zhao Zhijun with a big face. Are all the things you said to Xiaoxi at noon serious? Isn't it angry? Zhao Zhijun didn't reply, just slowly took the last sip of his cigarette and sucked it clean, then casually threw the cigarette butt into the toilet. As soon as the cigarette's flame was extinguished, the darkness in the restroom deepened even further. It's not an angry remark. In the darkness, Zhao Zhijun's voice, slightly tired but firm, came. Xia Mushi and I have really cut ties. Harmful, good thing. In the future, you don't have to be frugal and prepare gifts for Xiaoxi anymore. In the darkness, Yang Wei's broad hand rested on Zhao Zhijun's shoulder and said, let's go, please stay up late tonight. Look at how you've been tossed and turned into half of me in recent years. Zhao Zhijun felt the warmth of Yang Wei's palm and smiled. This guy is usually carefree, but when he speaks carefully, he can tell that he feels rejected and can't take it seriously, comforting himself. Thinking of this, Zhao Zhijun couldn't help but feel a warmth in his heart. I still remember being completely abandoned by Xia Mushi in my past life. That night, I called him and asked him to drink with me. He didn't even bother to call, but stopped a taxi with a lot of money on the way and came to find me. Later, his mother fell seriously ill and knew that he was facing financial difficulties. He was able to secretly take out the motorcycle that had been with him for several years. Old gentleman, I used to talk to you and always take care of my mother. I feel sorry for it, so I'll just treat this money as compensation for you. At that time, he handed the money to Zhao Zhijun with a silly smile on his face, causing Zhao Zhijun to curse and cry. Later on, when his mother recovered from illness, this kid never clamored to repay the money. Look, this silly kid. Of course, the brothers can only scold him for being foolish, and no one else can think of him. Chapter 5. 1 or 2 things that middle-aged men and student girls have to say. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. By the way, Zhao Zhijun suddenly remembered something important. I heard that your kid has the idea of learning committee member Rosie. Holy crap! Yang Wei's exclamation of surprise echoed through the men's restroom, causing his entire body to shrink and murmur, I didn't say anything, how do you know? Zhao Zhijun grabbed Yang Wei's buttocks hard with his hand and said, you've already called me Tai Shang Lao Jun. Can you keep this news from me? Just kidding, in your past life, you married Rosie and ended up being suppressed as a dog for over a decade. Can't you not know? Even at a classmate gathering, Yang Wei was asked why Luo Qian didn't come. Rosie said that she was chased by our class monitor Zhang Qingsong in high school, and it was awkward for her to come. Oh, this way. Wait, I remember the class monitor didn't show up either. WOC. That night, Yang Wei and he didn't even eat, so they caught Luo Qian and Zhang Qingsong in bed. And it was also because of this annoying incident that Yang Wei kept smoking and venting, smoking one after another, and finally, naturally, he smoked himself into the hospital bed. So Zhao Zhijun said earnestly, you and Xia Mushi have also seen it. Women, it only affects your drawing speed. Otherwise, why do you always get killed by Ekizan? Yasuo. What is that? Zhao Zhijun suddenly remembered that this guy is still specialized in Sword Saint, and Yasuo has not been launched yet. However, he didn't think much and laughed recklessly, then laughed and said, you will know in the future. Yang Wei. Knocked out face. Alright, go back to self-study, otherwise old Lu will criticize us again. By the way, my cigarette. Everyone said to quit smoking together, I'll take care of it for you first. Yang Wei. Are you a dog? As soon as he returned to the classroom, the scene before him shocked Zhao Zhijun. On the desk mate position that had been vacant for a long time, Luo Zhijie was sitting there at this moment. Her back was straight, and her black hair cascaded down like a waterfall, looking obedient like a doll. Before Zhao Zhijun could figure out the situation, Yang Wei next to him exclaimed in surprise, "Old gentleman, Goddess Luo is sitting next to you. You're so damn." At the same time, Zhao Zhijun could also feel jealous or hostile gazes from the entire class. Mad, being able to have close contact with the goddess, this kid probably saved the Milky Way in his previous life. Zhao Zhijun himself didn't have much psychological pressure, so he stood still for a moment and walked slowly towards his seat. Luo Zhijie made her debut as a child star from a young age, and while her peers were considering taking exams for further education, she had already been invited to perform on the stage of the local Spring Festival Gala. After entering high school, due to the massive entertainment industry across the country, she had to choose to self-study at home, which resulted in her appearing on campus very few times. That's why Xia Mushi has become the nominal school flower. Of course, it's also because she hasn't been to school before, and the class hasn't even arranged a fixed seat for her. So when she first arrived at the classroom and saw an empty seat next to her, she assumed it was her seat that she had just taken it. As for why she suddenly returned to class today, it's probably because she hugged Buddha's feet temporarily near the college entrance examination. Zhao Zhijun naturally sat in his seat, and Yu Guang quietly observed what Luo Zhijie would do. I saw that Luo Zhijie seemed somewhat surprised by his sudden appearance. Her delicate body trembled slightly, and her small nose began to flap noticeably. Nervous as a startled kitten. This can also be understood, after all, she is an old-fashioned woman who hasn't had much interaction with people for over a decade, and perhaps her language function has degraded. After thinking for a moment, Zhao Zhijun's gaze towards her became incredibly soft, and he spoke. "Hello, my name is Zhao Zhijun. You may not be familiar with the situation in the class, so if you have any questions, you can contact me." After speaking, what Zhao Zhijun could see with the naked eye was a pink blush on the tender face that could be squeezed out of the water picked by Luo Zhijie. What are you talking about? Zhao Zhijun saw her pink lips constantly moving, but the mosquito-like sound was hard to hear, which forced him to lean towards her. Because of his sudden action, the girl's voice became quieter, but because she was close enough, she could at least hear what she was saying this time. Luo Zhijie picking, Luo Luo Adventures Luo, Zhihua's Zhi, picking. And. Thank you. The girl spoke cautiously and immediately lifted the book on the table, covering her delicate little face. Well, as expected, it looks like a piece of wood, but it's also super cute. With just a few words, Zhao Zhijun, who had read countless people in his past life, became intellectually disabled. No way, Zhao Zhijun. The plot of a Japanese movie where a 30-year-old uncle falls in love with an 18-year-old female student feels like a fool no matter what you think. Restrain, shout. At this moment, Zhao Zhijun also noticed that the gaze of the people around him became even more fierce, especially the small group of prickly heads in the class. The gaze, hiss, I wish I could swallow him alive. Cough cough. Zhao Zhijun coughed twice to ease his embarrassment, and then buried himself in his own business. Ma Yuan, who had been paying attention to Zhao Zhijun's actions in front of her, furrowed her brows and clenched her fists, looking as if she wanted to come forward and tear apart a scumbag. Zhao Zhijun, even though he gave you a love letter at noon, he flirted with other girls in the afternoon. He's such a scumbag. Yuan focused on reviewing. Xia Mushi beside her appeared unusually calm, holding a ballpoint pen to write and draw on the Chinese language test paper. He's just pretending, don't get along with him. I just looked down on him purely. Then Ma Yuan changed her hospitable face. But Xiaoxi, you're right. Why do we need to have the same view as a poor student at the bottom of the class? Maybe in the future, he will be delivering takeout to us and asking us to give him positive reviews. Not caring about Ma Yuanyuan's mockery, Xia Mushi's gaze never left the test paper. She seems to really don't care about Zhao Zhijun anymore. Hey, Xiaoxi, how much can you worry about this question? Why did your next sentence write like a pot of ergotu? Ah. Xia Mushi's originally cold face showed a hint of panic. She quickly waved her hand and said, I don't know, maybe I remember wrong. Okay, maybe there's a little bit of concern for Zhao Zhijun. It's not because he deliberately angered himself. Now intentionally getting close to other girls. I will never talk to him again in the future. He apologized voluntarily and ignored him. Unless he packed his penguin for VIP all year round and also on the sign of Penguin Farm, right, my dishes only belong to Xia Mushi. On the other hand, Zhao Zhijun sneezed inexplicably, startling Luo Zhijie beside him. Who is cricketing me behind my back? However, Zhao Zhijun didn't think much and continued to bury his head in planning for the arrival of the evening. Chapter 6. Goddesses are sensitive muscles. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Tonight is the time when Luo Zhijie was killed. To ask Zhao Zhijun why he knew, it was because he had the golden finger of a reborn person, and now he can remember every detail about this news in his past life. In the news, it was said that around 10 p.m. after school self-study that night, Luo Zhijie was alone waiting for a private car to pick up and drop off at the back door of the school. The prisoner seized this opportunity and reached out the salty pig's hand to her. Fortunately, the driver of the Luo family arrived in time, and the situation did not move towards a more serious direction. But that is enough to become a shadow that will affect Luo Zhijie's future life. Animal. I curse you for giving birth without a but. Zhao Zhijun couldn't bear to think anymore and could only curse inwardly. But the most important thing now is not this, the key is what one should do to save Luo Zhijie from the tiger's mouth. Tell her directly that you may be violated at night, nervous. Well, it's already over before it even starts, or do you want to call Yang Wei and go hiking together? Wait until that beast appears before launching an attack. But what if that guy suddenly sees so many people popping up and doing something outrageous? It's a bit difficult to handle. Zhao Zhijun slightly turned his head and his gaze fell silently on Luo Zhijie, who was listening attentively. The girl pouted her pink lips, her willow eyebrows furrowed, and her silly big eyes filled with a thirst for knowledge. In order to figure out the complex formula on the blackboard, her whole body seemed to be exerting force, so much so that even in the not-too-hot season, a few strands of green hair at the base of her ears were soaked in sweat. The cold sunset poured down on her side, causing Zhao Zhijun to have the illusion of watching the female lead in a tragic film. Why is it that a girl who works so hard to live is ultimately abandoned by the world for no reason? At this point, Zhao Zhijun suddenly didn't care so much whether he would be treated as a fool by the other party. He plans to follow her after school and not give anyone a chance to approach her. Damn it. You better not show up, that uncontrollable beast, otherwise I'll catch you and beat you to the point of prolapse. Ding-ling-ling. The bell for evening self-study class came, and at this moment, the sky outside the window had completely darkened. As soon as the bell rang, Luo Zhijie immediately stood up and left the classroom. The speed was so fast that Zhao Zhijun didn't react for a moment. Luo, wait. Zhao Zhijun casually grabbed a handful of books and stuffed them into his backpack, intending to keep up with the girl's light footsteps. At such a critical moment, two unexpected characters appeared, blocking Zhao Zhijun's path. Zhao Zhijun. Ma Yuanyuan hugged her chest with both hands and gazed at him with a slanted gaze, her tone unquestionable. Can you help our Xiaoxi clean our house? Let's hurry to the cafeteria to have a late-night snack, otherwise it will be difficult to queue up when there are too many people later. Xia Mushi beside Ma Yuanyuan didn't give Zhao Zhijun any eye contact, and coldly snorted as if she didn't care, looking at the assignments for each subject written on the blackboard. However, Zhao Zhijun did not listen to Ma Yuanyuan's words at all. He poked his head between the two and confirmed that Luo Zhijie had not left his field of vision. But when he watched Luo Zhijie walk past a corner and completely disappear from his view, Zhao Zhijun was completely panicked. "Don't stop me." His voice unconsciously increased a bit. "Hey, why are you like this?" Faced with Zhao Zhijun's sudden outburst, Ma Yuanyuan was first taken aback, then stood up at the airport and said, unwilling to be outdone. "You made our family Xiaoxi unhappy at noon. If you don't apologize, it's okay. Don't you appreciate the opportunity I'm giving you to show off now?" At this moment, Xia Mushi gently tugged at Ma Yuanyuan's school uniform and said with a harmless expression, "Yuanyuan, stop talking. If it's too big, I won't eat dinner. I don't need him to do anything for me." It's such an uncomfortable tone again. Although it had nothing to do with Zhao Zhijun whether or not she could eat late-night snacks, this statement made her a victim. This kind of pua often occurred during their 10-year relationship, often ending with Zhao Zhijun's compromise. However, unlike in the past, no one noticed that Zhao Zhijun's fist had already clenched, and he was as hot as if he had just left the sauna. "Get the fuck out of here without my help." The next second, Zhao Zhijun let out a roar that was loud enough to pierce the sky, instantly startling everyone in the class, including Ma Yuanyuan and Xia Mushi. "A good dog doesn't block the way." After speaking, regardless of who the person in front of him was, he exerted force and forced himself through the middle of the two. At the same time, due to exerting force, Xia Mushi didn't react for a moment and almost fell to the ground. When she stood firm, Zhao Zhijun ran away without even a trace. Looking at the empty corridor after he left, Xia Mushi's eyes turned red and tears welled up in her eyes. Since childhood, when has she been treated so rudely? Moreover, the person who treated her this way was still Zhao Zhijun, who had always been obedient to him. "Zhao Zhijun, I want to tell your parents about this." Commonly known as informing parents, however, day students have always entered and exited the school through the front gate, while the back gate has not been opened due to some special reasons. It's also because it's not open, and usually there aren't many people passing by, and even in the middle of the night after evening self-study in class, I can't even see anyone. The reason why Luo Zhijie chose to have the driver pick her up from the back door was to cover up and avoid unnecessary riots caused by her celebrity status. Unfortunately, it was precisely because of her consideration that she provided excellent conditions for trouble to come to her in the future. On the other side, Zhao Zhijun, who had just broken through the blockade, rushed towards the back school gate in a frenzy. As he ran, Zhao Zhijun kept begging Luo Zhijie not to have any trouble. Finally, after running for 2.5 minutes, he arrived at the back school gate. However, the dilapidated and lonely school gate is empty, where is there still the figure of Luo Zhijie? Zhao Zhijun's heart suddenly rose to his throat. "Damn it, are you still one step late?" Bang! Just as Zhao Zhijun was burning with anxiety, a strange noise came from a secluded grassland next to the school gate. Zhao Zhijun immediately followed the sound and saw two figures lying on the dim grass, and one of the slightly tall figures was press another thin and small shadow under your body. Not good. That must be Luo Zhijie. Zhao Zhijun exclaimed to himself, quickly rushed forward with an arrow step, and then he used his greatest strength in his life to knock the robust person away. With a loud bang, the person was pushed several meters away and fell to the ground, then let out a scream of "wow," and remained motionless. Zhao Zhijun, who had calmed down a bit, took a closer look and saw that Luo Zhijie was the one who was pressed under him. So he quickly reached out his hands to lift her upper body off the ground, and then his gaze quickly swept over her whole body. Fortunately, her clothes were a bit messy, and that beast had not yet done anything dirty to her. Zhao Zhijun breathed a little sigh of relief, but still asked anxiously, "Are you okay? Has he hurt you anywhere?" Luo Zhijie's expression was still a bit hazy at first, but when Zhao Zhijun asked her, her eyes lit up slightly. When she completely regained her senses, a mist instantly rose up in her eyes. No, you appeared just as I was pushed down. Zhao Zhijun finally calmed down and asked, no, why don't you even shout for help? The girl's breathing was extremely rapid, tears welled up from her eyes, and soon she burst into tears, with a few strands of green silk sticking to her face. She looked straight at Zhao Zhijun, her watery eyes now like a wronged daughter looking at her old father. Whenever someone touches me, I don't know what's going on. Chapter 7. Mamba Spiritual Sports Students. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Does someone soften at a touch? Jimei, are you sensitive? Zhao Zhijun was blacklined by Luo Zhijie's words, but because of the emergency, he was too lazy to roast. So he looked at Luo Zhijie with concern and asked, are your legs okay? Can you stand up? After asking, his gaze naturally shifted to Luo Zhijie's calf. At this moment, due to the commotion just now, half of the bulky school pants were pulled up, revealing the smooth and jade-like calves inside. Hiss, it's so white, it's so dazzling. Color is color, emptiness is emptiness, ba ba. Zhao Zhijun suppressed the distractions in his heart while secretly glancing at the feast of his eyes. Now is not the time to think about this, you must defeat the pervert in your heart. Well, I'll call back when I get home. As for Luo Zhijie, the sensitive girl noticed his gaze and her small face turned red like hawthorn fruit on her face. Speaking again, from just now on, the boy in front of him had his arms resting on his shoulders, tightly protecting himself without any intention of letting go. It feels like the ambiguous poses that male and female leads often make in romantic movies. She doesn't dislike this. Thinking of this, Luo Zhijie's face turned even redder. MD, which idiot is bad for me? Good news. A furious roar came from behind the two of them. Zhao Zhijun turned around and noticed that the boy he had just pushed open had regained his senses. His blood-red eyes were fixed on them like black panthers hunting at night. The gaze of the knife-wielding man seemed to be saying, MD, you guys still fell in love on the spot, right? When I don't exist. Faced with such a fierce gaze, Zhao Zhijun's originally relaxed mentality instantly tightened. He quickly turned his head and met Luo Zhijie's 4 eyes, saying in a commanding tone, I'm blocking people here. You go to the security booth and find the security guard. Security department. I don't know where I am, said Luo Zhijie, her eyes widened too much in fear. I don't even know where the security department is. However, upon second thought, Zhao Zhijun realized that this silly girl had not attended school for 3 years, and of course, she was not clear about the location of the school facilities. But the problem is, the boy who fell to the ground has already stood up and put on a posture of wanting to suffer for himself. He has a certain impression of this boy, who is a notorious black-skinned sports student in their high school. He usually relies on a strong physique and never does what students should do at school. He often invites his parents every 3 days and goes home every 5 days, which is not a fuel-efficient lamp. Zhao Zhijun stared at the black-skinned sports student for a moment, feeling somewhat bewildered and afraid to act rashly. He knew this guy could even do the animal work of strengthening others, and his values had long been replaced by Mamba's spirit. Who knows what outrageous actions he will make next? And at this moment, the black-skinned sports student who stood up also saw clearly who the stinky kid who was bad for him was. Isn't it just a little white face? As soon as he saw the visitor's attire clearly, he couldn't help but feel angry. Mad, a stinky little dog, actually acted like a hero and got on my head. The next second, he clenched his fists and twisted his head left and right as he walked towards the two of them. Watching his fierce appearance, Zhao Zhijun's heart immediately cooled. You should know that in his past life, he was just a weak and fragile little dog at this time. Would it not be his life to face a black-skinned sports student? But he still protected Luo Zhijie behind him. Immediately afterwards, he saw the sports student suddenly erupt, waving his elbow half the size of his face and rushing towards him. If this elbow goes down, I'm 100% sure I'll crash directly. No, I'll be kicked out. Zhao Zhijun hesitated a bit again. He glanced at Luo Zhijie beside him, who had already abandoned the idea of male and female infidelity in fear, and his whole body pressed tightly against him. This authentic and soft touch reminds Zhao Zhijun of the ethereal thin smoke that rose during the cremation of Luo Zhijie in his past life. And witnessing that scene, I once fantasized that if I could start over, I would definitely save Luo Zhijie. At present, it is the moment that can save Luo Zhijie. And how could he just haha and perfunctorily pick Luo Zhijie like in his past life? Mad, it's a big fight with Lao. Zhao Zhijun let out a shout in his heart, and his body immediately reacted and contracted into a sturdy ball, ready to take the punch hard before crashing into the opponent. This punch also quickly arrived as promised, but I don't know if it was too nervous to notice, and it didn't hurt as much as I imagined. On the contrary, with a casual thrust of his hands, he knocked the sports student out again. Zhao Zhijun, who had come to his senses, looked at his hands in surprise. Where did he have such great strength? Also, why doesn't this punch feel like it's hitting you at all? Is this the golden finger of the reborn that readers love to see? Zhao Zhijun was full of confusion here, and the sports student was also stunned. For a moment, there was a hint of surprise in his eyes as he looked at Zhao Zhijun. You should know that he is a sports student with full physical fitness. Why is an unknown little white-faced person fighting back like nothing happened? Did you run into the sweeping monk? Lying trough. The black-skinned sports student let out a scream in his heart, instantly losing his arrogant aura. On the contrary, his scalp itched for a moment. The situation is not good, why don't we slip away first? There's no surveillance here. As soon as I run away, who knows what I've done? Do whatever you say. The sports student looked at Zhao Zhijun's stunned and unresponsive expression, and quickly stood up with his sore buttocks. Regardless of whether he's pretending to be a pig or a tiger, I don't believe that my ability to sprint first in the school can be caught up with by this little white face. Thinking about it, he had already taken steps and ran towards the teaching building. Humph, you want to escape. As soon as the words fell, Zhao Zhijun's frail figure blocked in front of the sports student. After being reborn, his strong physical fitness made him run even faster than a sports student. Sports students have never seen such a scene before. The psychological defense line that was originally holding a glimmer of luck was completely shattered. He trembled as he reached into his pocket and pulled out something, staring in terror as he said, "What do you want?" "Don't come over." Zhao Zhijun didn't reply, just stared at him with a terrifying gloomy gaze. Then, he placed one hand heavily on the shoulder of the sports student. In an instant, the sports student only felt his shoulder sink, and the heavy pressure like Mount Tai made him unable to move any further. Is this the strength that humans can possess? Zhao Zhijun looked at him angrily and said sternly, "Why? I'll take you to the police." As he spoke, he was about to be crushed to the ground. Seeing that he had no way to escape, the sports student decided to smash the can and reached out the hand hidden in his pocket, punching Zhao Zhijun in the abdomen. In the dark night, Zhao Zhijun noticed a slight flash of cold light, and immediately felt pain in his abdomen. Although he doesn't know what the sports student did, he can't care about so much now. He can't let this guy slip away no matter what. So Zhao Zhijun, feeling the pain, forcefully pressed the sports student to the ground and couldn't move. In no time, two dazzling lights shone over. The driver of the Luo family has finally arrived. "Mississippi Miss, why are you sitting on the ground?" Soon, a man in a suit appeared in the light, indicating that he was the driver coming to pick up Luo Zhijie. Damn it, finally it's here. Zhao Zhijun finally let go of his suspended heart, but with this release, he felt his legs weaken and immediately collapsed to the ground. He felt intense pain in his abdomen and reached out to touch it. Ah! It's all blood. So that bastard just pulled out his pocket just to grab a knife. Mad, I dodged the first day of junior high school but not the second day of junior high school. I never thought I could still do this. This beast Zhao Zhijun had not had a chance to curse a few more words in his heart, but he could no longer hold on and became unconscious on the spot with his black eyes. On the empty road, a whining ambulance flew by. In the ambulance, several nurses are performing emergency hemostasis for Zhao Zhijun. Beside the unconscious Zhao Zhijun, Luo Zhijie looked at him with tearful eyes and choked up, saying, "How could you be so foolish, for my sake, woe, to this extent?" Zhao Zhijun was hurt for her sake. If he had any ups and downs, this foolish fool might never be able to forgive him for a lifetime. Surprisingly, Zhao Zhijun, who was in a coma, seemed to have heard the sound of Luo Zhixuan, and his body had a slight reaction. He held Luo Zhixuan's hand with one hand. She instinctively thought that this was a manifestation of survival when the dying were dying, so she cried even more heart-wrenching the next second. "Don't." However, Zhao Zhijun spoke at this moment. "Don't be afraid, I'm here." Luo Zhixuan quickly lifted her head and looked at Zhao Zhijun in surprise. Zhao Zhijun remained unconscious, and the nurses around him were still nervously treating him. The ambulance was speeding forward, as if any slower would be caught up by the following Reaper. Luoji knew that the Grim Reaper could never catch up with them. Because Zhao Zhijun is holding his big hand at this moment, so warm and powerful. He tightly grasped his hand, not the struggle of the dying, but the fear of being alone. Chapter 8. 4v6 Fair Competition, Come with Horses. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In the highest level ward of Binhai City Hospital, Zhao Zhijun, who was unconscious due to injury last night, was lying on the hospital bed. When the first ray of sunlight shone on his face in the morning, his consciousness slowly woke up. This is the hospital. Before fully familiarizing himself with the environment, his attention was first attracted by a soft touch coming from his palm. Upon a glance, I realized that my hand was obediently in the palm of a small hand. My little palm doesn't have much flesh, but it's very warm. Looking up with her little hand, Luo Zhixuan was sitting on a chair beside the hospital bed sleeping, with a beautiful face tinged with a hint of fatigue. The scene of terror last night is vividly remembered, and as the protagonist of the event, she should have been greatly frightened. Of course, what she suffered was only shock, and a series of tragedies from her past life did not befall her. And now Luo Zhixuan is lying beside him, with crescent-shaped eyelashes hanging low, looking like she is sleeping soundly. This scene made Zhao Zhijun's eyes hot, and he couldn't help but exert more force while holding Luo Zhixuan's hand. You should know that Luo Zhijie's death was one of the most regrettable things in his past life. Turning the tide of death, this is the first time Zhao Zhijun has felt the meaning of rebirth. At this moment, Luo Zhijie, who was sleeping soundly, also felt the pressure on her palm and opened her eyes vaguely. "Are you awake?" As soon as Luo Zhixuan opened her eyes, she saw Zhao Zhijun, who was full of vitality. She immediately lost her daze from waking up and her big eyes flickered as she approached Zhao Zhijun. "Where are you still feeling unwell?" She poked her head and brain, her gaze scanning over Zhao Zhijun like an X-ray. Luo Zhijie's enthusiastic expression, like that of an old mother, actually made him laugh out easily. "Huh, I'm sick and have a big celebrity with me. I can't be happy yet." After finishing speaking, Zhao Zhijun's gaze fell on the tightly held hands of the two. Luo Zhi let out a scream from her throat, and then her little face turned red like a lantern. It can be seen that she instinctively wanted to pull out her hand, but it seems that she has been delayed because Zhao Zhijun saved her last night. So Luo Zhixuan, who didn't let go for a moment, became even more nervous, and even more forcefully grasped his hand. Zhao Zhijun, whose hand turned purple from being grabbed by the other party, was not angry. He gently raised the corner of his mouth without showing any trace and leaned in her ear, saying, "It's difficult for the nurse at the door to handle you like this." "Nurse." Luoji lifted her head in a panic and immediately saw the nurse standing at the door for a long time. She now had an awkward expression on her face, unsure whether to move in or out. Luo Zhijie let out a mournful cry of extreme grievance. She, who was already afraid of life, was seen by strangers again, and she wished she could dig a hole in the ground and dive in immediately. It's so pure and innocent. Zhao Zhijun sighed in his heart and then suppressed his desire to continue teasing this small piece of wood. Please come in. He naturally pulled out his hand holding Luo Zhijie and greeted the nurse. The ambiguous atmosphere in the ward was finally broken, and Luo Zhijie's originally beating heart finally found a moment of peace. However, as soon as the little wooden figure calmed down, he looked at the small hand he had just held by Zhao Zhijun, and carefully thought quietly climbed up to her heart. She was always worried about his emotions and couldn't bear to let go, but why could he let go so casually? Xiaomu's psychology instantly became unbalanced. So her originally enthusiastic gaze added a hint of resentment, with a strong sense of innocent girls being played with recklessly by scumbags. This melancholic gaze made Zhao Zhijun, who was originally chatting with the nurse, feel a chill behind his back. Are you okay? The line from the meme perfectly describes Zhao Zhijun's bewildered psychology at this moment. Afterwards, the nurse confirmed some information with him and quickly left the ward in a timely manner. Ace. A mechanical female voice rang in Zhao Zhijun's ear. Zhao Zhijun turned his head and found that Luo Zhijie had taken out her phone at some point and started playing a game called Honor King. Perhaps feeling strange, Zhao Zhijun leaned closer to her and finally realized that the character she was playing was Guan Yu. Surprisingly playing with Guan Yu. I thought she would play with assistants like Kai Wenji and Yao Mei. However, the gray operation interface and dialogue boxes kept sending friendly greetings to her, indicating that she didn't seem to be playing very well. Damn it. Guan Yu, XXS. Don't play games at this level, just quit and find a class. Watching these constant mockery, Zhao Zhijun not only didn't get angry, but also wanted to laugh. Is this the current attacking power of netizens? You should know that if this were to be placed in future Tieba and person-to-person interactions, it would be laughed at by others for a lifetime. However, there is no other way. At this time, the internet is not so abstract, and Irby and XXS are almost the limits of netizens cursing. Zhao Zhijun didn't take it seriously with a smile. He looked up and his gaze was instantly occupied by the huge tears at the corner of Luo Zhijie's eyes. I thought one knife could kill the remaining blood on the opposite side. Luo Zhijie pursed her mouth, her silver teeth creaking as she bit them, looking extremely helpless. This poor fool is so angry just because he was called XXS. Zhao Zhijun suppressed his smile and reached out his hand to her, saying, "Here, I'll help you with the operation." Luo Zhijie hesitated for a moment, her big eyes filled with question marks. Are you coming? Zhao Zhijun curled his lips and pointed at himself, "Don't worry, my professional level." So. Why don't you give it a try? Although her tone was somewhat skeptical, she still handed over her phone out of curiosity about whether Zhao Zhijun really had that ability. Taking the phone, Zhao Zhijun immediately clicked to open them all. However, at the moment he saw his appearance, he was stunned. No, Miss Emotion, your Guan Yu is pure flesh. No wonder you can't kill the remaining blood with just one strike. Why do you have to come up with 2 pieces of Overlord reinstallation? Because it can restore double the health. Is she really a genius? Zhao Zhijun supported his forehead with a bitter smile, sold some useless defense equipment, replaced it with a few attack equipment, and immediately rushed to the confrontation route. On the line, Zhao Zhijun did not rush out of the tower to clear the troops, but instead typed to request support from his teammates. Why don't you go out and eat the military line? There are people in the grass. Someone. How do you know? At this moment, the middle path mage heard Zhao Zhijun's signal and set out, following his instructions to put his skills into the grass. Zhao Zhijun immediately followed suit, thrusting and stabbing, pushing out the opposing jungle and confrontation path that had been squatting in the grass. With the help of the mage's control, he quickly won the double kill. Zhao Zhijun exhaled and said with a relaxed expression, because if there were people in the grass near Guan Yu, his eyes would be bright. Ah! Luo Zhijie opened her mouth slightly and looked shocked. Also, how did you just hit someone else's halfway and swing your knife? It's simple. When the energy bar is full, just click on a skill first and then click on a regular attack. Oh, can we still do this? Luo Zhijie's gaze instantly became clear, and her body involuntarily leaned closer to Zhao Zhijun, wanting to learn his movements up close. With the national goddess as the audience, Zhao Zhijun naturally had to exert all his strength. In the subsequent matches, various operations such as backstepping, and second skill instant release emerged one after another, which made Luo Zhixuan's eyes shine on the side. It was also under the operation of Zhao Zhijun that the situation quickly changed. Originally, they were suppressed in the early stage and quickly pushed onto the opposite highland. Next, there is only one perfect team battle left, and we can completely win. At this moment, the opportunity came. Zhao Zhijun manipulated Guan Yu to sprint and launch a powerful second skill to push the opponent's crispy skin out of the tower. The other four teammates immediately followed suit and melted the opponent's main C in an instant. In the blink of an eye, there was only one powerless LV Bu on the other side. At this moment, the teammates who experienced a group battle were not in good form, but based on the principle of seizing victory and pursuing, Zhao Zhijun still chased after LV Bu without letting go. Opposite Lu Bu may also be impatient, turning around and giving each skill a try. Struggling to the brink of death. Zhao Zhijun sneered, followed by one or two skills, and then pushed again, instantly avoiding the opponent's skills. However, quadruple kill. Who killed 4 people? Zhao Zhijun's smile froze on his face. How could it be Lu Bu? No, it's not Lu Bu, it's Guan Yu who killed his teammates. Zhao Zhijun never paid attention to his teammates who were following him. A general worker pushed LV Bu in the face of his teammates, and coincidentally, LV Bu killed all his teammates with just one skill. It seems that at the beginning, I boasted to Luo Zhijie about his professional level without any substance, but it's just that Zhao Zhijun's Guan Yu studied under Ino. Chapter 9. Goddess's Advantage, Not Occupying White, Not Occupying. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ace. The mechanical female voice rang out again, completely shattering Zhao Zhijun's plan to pretend to be Bo Yi in front of Luo Zhixuan. WCNM. Just said you started using your brain to play and ended up killing this one. Mad, 4v6 fair competition, right? Are you the actor hired by the opposite side, Guan Yu? Brothers, this is it. If you go out, just give me a little bit of reporting. My teammates couldn't hold their breath anymore, and even gave up typing and opened the microphone to engage in a thrilling family defense battle with Zhao Zhijun. If it were normal, with Zhao Zhijun's yellow card strength, he would definitely open the wheat, and it would not be a problem to defeat 4. But the operation just now was really disappointing, and with Luo Zhixuan by his side, where did he face the line? Alas, B didn't install it and instead caused Luo Zhixuan's account to be reported by 4 teammates. Why do your teammates curse at you? Just as Zhao Zhijun was looking embarrassed, Luo Zhijie picked up her clear and foolish eyes and leaned in. Didn't LV Bu kill them? Why didn't you spray LV Bu on the other side? This. Even though Zhao Zhijun's heart was mature, he still felt a bit embarrassed in the face of such a naive speech from a young girl at this moment. I'm talking about silly wood. Not only do you have advanced game understanding, but your brain is also so bright. It's a pity not to go to Yanhui village and find Xiao Ma Yun to develop 5G together. Of course, the inner roast belongs to roast. At present, the words of teammates are getting worse and worse. I heard Zhao Zhijun really wanted to surrender. He turned his head and met Luo Zhixuan's silly and cute eyes, which were comparable to those of a college student. He didn't even blink, looking extremely serious. I have an idea. Zhao Zhijun's mouth slightly curled up, outlining a malicious smile. He looked at Luo Zhijie and said with righteous words, "Hey, I have a way to make them stop talking and have fun playing games." "What's the solution?" "That's." Zhao Zhijun's voice lowered, and his mischievous appearance made him feel uneasy. The fact is that he really didn't have a good heart, otherwise Luo Zhijie wouldn't have heard her blush and her legs tightly closed. "Cough, don't think too much. Our Zhao Zhijun will not do anything bad in broad daylight. You're like this, they can definitely shut up." After Zhao Zhijun finished speaking, he didn't take what he said too seriously. After all, he didn't think Luo Zhijie would agree. Unless Luo Zhijie can really be foolish to a certain extent, however, Luo Zhijie blushed and pondered for a while before whispering, "Sure." "She's really stupid." Zhao Zhijun opened her mouth, unable to believe that she had truly agreed. The game is about to lose. At this moment, Luo Zhijie reminded her, so Zhao Zhijun regained his composure and handed her the phone. Luo Zhijie picked up her phone, took a deep breath, and with trembling fingers, turned on the microphone. "Sorry, it was my boyfriend playing just now. Please have fun and don't scold him." At that moment, both Zhao Zhijun and those talkative teammates fell silent. This is like an orphan standing in line with someone for a long time, only to end up arguing and watching someone's mother call them back to eat. True injury, absolutely true injury. Just play games, it's a bit disgusting if you openly give out dog food. After finishing all of this, Luo Zhijie immediately turned off her microphone, stuffed her phone back into Zhao Zhijun's hand like a thief, and then turned around with a whimper. I don't know what her expression is at this moment, but her red ears and trembling body can predict that her expression must be very exciting. Damn it! Zhao Zhijun cursed himself inwardly. How can there be a sense of guilt when an African old man says to a Chinese girl, "You are the most beautiful Chinese girl I have ever seen"? Zhao Zhijun, you really deserve to die. What is Guan Yu still waiting for? The other side is already on high ground. At this moment, his teammate, Friendly, reminded him. Zhao Zhijun was aroused and quickly seized the good operating environment that had been obtained through cheap harvesting of Zhan Luoji to output. Fortunately, he really had some strength, and the situation in a group battle immediately reversed. Victory! As the crystal on the opposite side ruptured, Zhao Zhijun didn't forget to mock a few words by opening the microphone. "Practice more dishes, don't play if you can't afford to lose." After speaking, he immediately withdrew from the game. I won. Zhao Zhijun's voice was a bit muffled. He didn't understand why he, who had experienced so many storms in his past life, was now at a loss in front of a shy little girl. Luo Zhijie didn't turn around and said in a vague voice, With this sound, the room became completely quiet, so much so that Zhao Zhijun could hear his intense heartbeat. An ambiguous atmosphere quietly sprouts in the quiet air. The two people in between were so confused that they didn't even notice a middle-aged man standing at the door at an unknown time. The man appeared to be in his 40s or 50s, with exquisitely combed hair and a custom-made suit. The Patek Philippe on his wrist shone brilliantly in the light. He stood expressionless at the door, his round big eyes looking at Zhao Zhijun and then at Luo Zhijie. The crimson blush on Luo Zhijie's face caught his eye. "Daughter." He furrowed his eyebrows and raised them slightly, his expression as if he had understood something, and then he quietly left the room. Zhao Zhijun was not seriously injured and was discharged in the evening after simple care. After discharge, Luo Zhijie asked him where he wanted to go and she could arrange for a driver to escort him. Zhao Zhijun supported his chin and pondered for a moment. "Let's go back to school first." No joke, he is afraid that if he returns to school later, his desk will be overwhelmed by exam papers from various subjects. Besides, he has already reported his safety to his parents, so it's not a big problem for him to come home late for a while. Okay, Luo Zhijie nodded and instructed the driver in the front seat, let's go to school. So the car started and headed towards Binhai No. 1 Middle School. Since the morning incident, Luo Zhijie's attitude towards Zhao Zhijun has been cold and indifferent, and I don't know if she's angry with him, so neither of them spoke along the way, and the silent atmosphere in the carriage continued until they arrived at the school. Luo Zhijie frowned and lowered her eyes, saying coldly, you go back to the classroom first, and I'll report to the homeroom teacher. Zhao Zhijun nodded and got off the car with great insight. Alas, judging from her current attitude, she is indeed angry. But if you're angry, just be angry. Your task has already been completed, and you can't expect to have any further involvement with her. With this thought, Zhao Zhijun's mood improved a lot, so he walked briskly towards the classroom. The students have just finished their meal and are returning to class for evening self-study. When Zhao Zhijun's figure appeared at the entrance of the class, the originally noisy environment instantly quieted down. In the silence, Zhao Zhijun also felt a few malicious gazes, most of which came from boys. What's going on? I just didn't come to class for a whole day, right? Zhao Zhijun didn't think much and came to his seat to tidy up the homework for the day. Hey, Lao Jun, you're back. When Yang Wei saw that he had returned, he stumbled over and said, what happened to you last night? What's going on? Zhao Zhijun looked puzzled, what's going on? You're still pretending. Yang Wei lowered his voice and pointed in a direction with a mischievous hand. You made Xiaoxi cry last night, don't you know? Me. Are you making Xiaomu cry? Zhao Zhijun was even more confused now. He tilted his head to look at Xiaomushi's position, but unexpectedly, the other person was also staring at him blankly at this moment, and their eyes collided like this. Unfortunately, it's not a sweet and charming beginning for the male and female protagonists. After all, at this moment, Xiaomushi's red pupils are filled with melancholy. Chapter 10 is not recommended for Bangzi people to read. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. To Zhao Zhijun's surprise, Xiaomushi did not wait for him to pass as usual, but took the initiative to walk towards him. How long do you have to play the play to get ... As soon as Xiaomushi arrived in front of him, her beautiful eyes fixed on him, questioning him with an unquestionable haughty tone. If it continues like this, I will only feel that you are being disrespectful. Last night, Zhao Zhijun yelled at her and almost knocked her down to the ground. This was a grievance she had never experienced before. Now, no matter what, she needs an explanation. She doesn't care if Zhao Zhijun has any urgent matters, even if the gas at home is not turned off, she still wants Zhao Zhijun's apology. She is such a proud girl. Zhao Zhijun glanced at her, his lips twitched, and then he buried his head in tidying up as if nothing had happened. Not even a word of sophistry was spoken, as if she didn't exist. Is this the attitude that Zhao Zhijun should have towards Xiaomushi? At this moment, the class monitor in the front row, Zhang Qingsong, spoke up first. Zhao Zhijun, I hope you can apologize to Xia for your recklessness last night. He raised his glasses with a righteous expression and said, after all, you did something like that in front of the whole class. You hurt Xia not only, but also set a bad example for everyone. In other words, not apologizing is contempt for the whole class. One sentence successfully elevates personal conflicts to the collective. Zhao Zhijun, who had been tortured by society for several years in his past life, immediately understood the obstacles he had set in his words. This guy is nothing more than a media professional, he's a master of rhythm. Cough cough. Zhao Zhijun coughed twice and his speed of packing slowed down. First of all, there's no need to bring something big to the table and talk about it, he said. Moreover, it's time for evening self-study, and everyone is working hard for the college entrance examination. As the head of the class, you are openly affecting everyone's learning, isn't it good? After speaking, Zhao Zhijun stared at him with a burning gaze, his momentum even surpassing the class leader who was calling for wind and rain by 3 points. Treat others in their own way, don't think you're just a little clever. This. It was obvious that Zhang Qingsong was stunned by his words. He had no idea that Zhao Zhijun, who used to have a wooden head, would be so eloquent at this moment. However, the title of Rhythm Master was not for nothing. Zhang Qingsong's eyes twitched and he immediately had an idea. Zhao Zhijun, I know you may have been rejected by Xia Mushi in public and feel bad, but you also need to reflect on whether you did not do well enough to be rejected. For example, if your current grades are at the lower level of the class, and Xia is consistently in the top 10 of the class, of course he has some concerns. So, why don't you focus on studying now? After all, only by studying well can others respect you, right? Zhang Qingsong's lips curved slightly at this moment, showing a hypocritical smile. Look. The head of a class not only has excellent grades, but also cares so much about his classmates. How diligent and responsible, it's like a silent man and a tearful woman. However, Zhao Zhijun was amused by his seemingly righteous appearance. Don't you care about your classmates? They all care about bed, and you want to care about whether someone else's wife's reproductive system is healthy, right? Zhao Zhijun's smile quickly disappeared. He put on his backpack and came to his face, looking at him with a playful expression on his face. It's okay if you don't say that last sentence. As soon as you say it, I have something to say. Some people have outstanding grades, but they may not necessarily be respected, after all, who can guarantee that they are not personal scumbags? After speaking, Zhao Zhijun's meaningful gaze fell on Zhang Qingsong's crotch. When Zhang Qingsong was arrested and raped by Yang Wei in the previous life, Zhao Zhijun still remembers his length vividly. If it weren't for the untimely situation at that time, he would have mocked him severely. Well, the little one is also very cute. This sentence obviously hit Zhang Qingsong's soft spot, and his tall image that he had been maintaining shattered instantly. What do you mean? It's not very interesting, it means your young brother is very cute. I really don't have a younger brother at all. Before Zhang Qingsong could finish speaking, he realized that he had been tricked by Zhao Zhijun and shouted in his heart that something was wrong. It's okay, ants are also meat when they are small. Seeing that the opponent's defense had already been breached, Zhao Zhijun took advantage of his victory and chased after him, gesturing with one hand to let the men of Bangzi Kingdom collectively break through the defense. Sample. Play with me, I eat more salt than you eat. Plus, he did eat more salt in his past life than he did. Zhang Qingsong was completely insane. Without even lifting his glasses, he rushed to Zhao Zhijun and said, I'm a normal size. Besides, you won't have a crane tail that a woman is looking at in front of you in your whole life. Feel free to say, me. Zhao Zhijun's tactics are also ruthless enough to allow the class leader, who has always been mature and steady, to directly attack someone. I just don't know how he will retaliate against the class monitor in the future, and the development of the situation is becoming increasingly interesting. Just as everyone was getting ready to watch the next play on the small stool with melon seeds and cola, a soft female voice broke the current anxious situation. Zhao Zhijun. Everyone followed the sound and looked. It was Luo Zhijie. She appeared at the door of the classroom at an unknown time, but as a highly anticipated idol on stage, she was a bit hesitant in front of the gaze of her classmates. Luo Zhijie lowered her head and blushed as she approached Zhao Zhijun. Her delicate jade hand gently tugged at his sleeve and said, Teacher, who asked you to go to the office? Zhao Zhijun's gaze shifted away from Zhang Qingsong and he said lightly, I understand. After speaking, he turned around as if nothing had happened and left in the surprised eyes of countless classmates. What happened? Luo Zhijie came to inform Zhao Zhijun by picking her own relatives. Just now, Luo Zhijie and Zhao Zhijun looked like a petite wife, and my nose smelled the scent of gossip. Ha ha ha, I don't know who just mocked others for not having a woman to look at. The gossip hearts of the students were completely ignited, and they all joined the discussion about the sudden appearance of Luo Zhijie. Of course, there were also occasional sarcastic remarks about Zhang Qingsong amidst the discussion, as there were also some people in the class who were unhappy with Zhang Qingsong's pretentious appearance. Now, they finally had the opportunity to speak up. After all, just after saying, "Those without women will look straight at you," the next second there will be a national goddess interacting closely with him. This slap in the face is too timely. What mature and steady class monitor. He's just a joke now. At this moment, Zhang Qingsong, who was in the center of public opinion, was trembling all over. His eyes, hidden under his glasses, were fiery red. Zhang Qingsong certainly understands that if this matter were to spread in the class, who would still consider his position as class monitor in the future. So he must find a place. Wait a minute. Zhao, we haven't finished dealing with our affairs yet. Zhang Qingsong shouted at Zhao Zhijun, but did not receive a glance from the other party. Mad. Zhao Zhijun's indifferent attitude made him burst out with a line of national essence. Zhao Zhijun doesn't take him seriously either. Zhang Qingsong bit his teeth and chased after him, reaching out a hand full of veins to grab him. Didn't you hear me call you? Pop. A crisp and incomparable sound rang out in the classroom, followed by Zhang Qingsong's hand being fiercely slapped out like a plane crash. As the protagonist being fanned away, Zhang Qingsong looked bewildered. The whole class of 45 who witnessed this scene with their own eyes were bewildered. Zhao Zhijun, who didn't do anything, was even more confused. Would readers who thought it was the male lead fan also be confused? By doing so, Luo Zhijie will not be confused. Because that slap was hers.